guys, welcome back to a new video. I'm Stephanie Fisher. I'm a licensed counselor here in the state of Michigan, and I am owner and operator of In Progress Counseling. Today we're going to talk about non-defensiveness. Now, we have historically dove into defense mechanisms. What is their goal? What is their purpose? A lot of times they're used to kind of blunt the pain of something that we don't want to experience. And criticism, when it comes in our direction, that's often where a defense mechanism will show up, and we'll get really, defensive, right? We will sit there and point blame at others. The person that's giving us feedback will let them know how they've done something wrong. We'll blame other people. We'll shut down. We'll retreat. There's many things that can happen when we're getting feedback. One of the things to equip us with is when feedback is coming our way, the delivery is important for us to pay attention to, because I don't suspect that typically we're closed off to any and all feedback. At least that would be my hope. For us to get better at things over time, feedback is actually a really important element of growth and development. It's a really important component of making sure that I'm on the right track, that I'm doing my due diligence, that I'm aiming towards the things I want to aim at. Feedback is actually pretty imperative. And so I want to know how to receive feedback, and I want to know how to do it non-defensively. So if someone's coming at me with intensity, with accusation, with character assassination, with vitriol, I want to know how to show up in that space. And one of the things is to create distance from how things are being delivered. And that doesn't mean if I'm contributing somehow I don't take ownership. What it means is when I, Stephanie, am communicating, there is a level of responsibility for me to communicate in a way that the hearer hears me. Now, one of the things I walk with clients often is, how do we say things with words and not with our behavior? How do we say things with our voice and not with some type of shutdown or a temper tantrum, an explosion? So we're working on our skills of how do I want to communicate something in a way that the hearer can actually hear me. I can't force them to hear me, but I want to improve the chance that they hear me. And so non-defensiveness is actually quite important. I work with clients and I work with myself often on making sure I put things into first-person language. I use emotional phrasing. I talk through my experience and how things are landing for me. I try to avoid the word you, because that's one of the things that raises people's hackles very, very quickly quite often. But if someone is choosing to unload on me, I still want to understand if there's something that I, Stephanie, should be tending to, because feedback is actually quite important. I don't want to go around provoking people. I don't want to go around getting a rise out of people. If you do, then perhaps you like it when people are, intense and vitriolic back. So be it. That's a style, right? But for me personally, that's not the place where I want myself to be communicating, and that's not the type of communication I typically want to be receiving. So the distance comes when I realize that I don't get to control how people talk to me. I don't get to control how they communicate with me. I do get to, in my internal organization, understand that someone unloading on me tells me significantly more about them than it's telling about me. Now, they might be saying something useful, and I do want to, whenever I'm getting intense lashback, I want to understand my role in it. I want to understand where I've misstepped. I do genuinely want to understand that. And if someone is delivering something to me harshly, angrily, with some type of character assassination going on, I get to see it through the lens of that's where they're at. That's what's kind of going on in them. That's their inability to stay in the moment and let it be conversational. It's conflict. It's maybe rage. I can't stop it that someone else is having that experience. Now, I lament when I invite others towards that. I do feel a sadness if I am evoking a big response in someone. And I'm also allowed to say that other people do have agency in how they express themselves. And so if they're expecting to come towards me with this, blind rage, character assassination, vitriolic intensity, I'm allowed to, in my internal organization, say, Steph, that's something running for them. And you might have been part of the activation sequence, but you do not bear all the responsibility for what's happening right now. It can't possibly be true. And so one of the things to invite us into is we do have agency in how we choose to dialogue and navigate. Now we can look around us and see a lot of people saying, hey, you made me do this. And I would say, hey, I want to be really careful with giving people that level of power in my life. I do have agency in how I communicate, and I believe others have agency in how they communicate. When it comes at me with nastiness and vitriolic intensity, I get to rightly say, Steph, hear the message. Is there something you need to be working on? And also, that tells me a lot about where they're at. It's a little less about me sometimes.